All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. All right, and what I want to get into today, dealing with various topics, and how, we see a perfect storm, that's brewing, and I seen a lesson, by the beloved brother. I believe the brother name is Elder Tazwa. I believe he's a man of valor. I believe his name in that camp out there in New York, New Jersey area. But diligent brother, very watchful, when it comes to, the happiness and what's going on. But he had a title of a lesson, and it was entitled, a beautiful, disaster. Okay, because this disaster is coming, it's beautiful for us. This is a beautiful thing that's happening because it's righteous judgment that's coming to the earth. Okay, matter of fact, let's get some precepts, and then I got a quick video from another brother lesson. So let's go here. All right, when you go to the book of St. John, all right, chapter 16. Okay, it's the book of St. John, chapter 16, and verse 20. It says, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, that ye shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice. And ye shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into joy." And see, our sorrow, because, the scriptures say you increase in wisdom. We first come into the truth. It's like honey, finding out who we are, finding out, that, we are the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, King David, King Solomon, Joseph, all the, the renowned men of the scriptures, are our forefathers, the promises that we got to look forward to. Okay, all these things, and it's honey. All right, but then, we have to settle in knowing this truth and still being in this world, understanding how things are supposed to be. Okay, but still have to exist. Okay, in a wicked society. Because as we grow in wisdom, we grow to hate this place more and more. We grow to hate everything about it. And these people, all right, prosperity is vexation to us because it's a wicked system, man. Everything about it is wicked, man. And we understand that this place is overdue, for judgment. Okay, but the Lord has it happening in the perfect time. Okay, so what's happening, our sorrow is turning into joy. That's why this, like the brother's title, a beautiful disaster, man. This is beautiful. Okay, the righteous judgment is going forth in the wicked society, man. That should be appeasing to us, man. That should be fulfilling to us to see the things that the Lord has, all right, unfolding in the earth. Okay, so when you go to the book of Mark, now book of Matthew, so like in chapter 5, because maturing in this truth makes us thirst for righteousness, man. So you read Matthew 5 and 5, it says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." Okay, one thing about this truth, man, it humbles us down. We come from a society, that promotes being proud. Everyone's, a narcissist. Okay, everyone's a hyper individual. Okay, but the truth promotes humility, man. And humility is beautiful, man. All right, a man, a woman that has humility. Hey, that's beautiful, man. Okay, because humility doesn't mean you're timid. You're a pushover. Okay, humility goes into understanding that there's that it comes from us understanding first of all that we don't got it all figured out. Okay, we need a higher power to guide us. Okay, We can be wrong. We're not above correction. Okay, we have to compromise. Sometimes we have to compromise for the greater good. Okay, putting the interest, okay, of the unit above self-interest. Okay, willing to take the low, for the forwarding, of the overall, okay, agenda. Okay, that doesn't mean that you're timid and you're just passive. Okay, it's just understanding that our self-interest doesn't outweigh, okay, the overall agenda. And this world, mocks humility. They mock, discipline. They mock having patience. They mock being in order. Okay, and that's why the Lord's finna judge the earth the way He's finna judge it. Okay, because the Lord is dealing with the humble, and the humble finna inherit the earth. And that's why when you have two humble people, you can get a lot done. Because you got two people thinking about the bigger picture. So you got a group of humble people, you can get a lot done. Okay, because ego doesn't get in the way of the agenda. Okay, self-interest doesn't get in the way of the agenda. You see, emotions don't get in the way. When you deal with humility, you can get a lot done. And that's why the Lord is grooming us to be humble kings. We're going to be firm. Okay? We're going to be firm. Okay? But we're going to be humble. We're going to have humility, man. You see? Constantly reverencing and thanking a higher power. Okay? You see? Understanding that, hey, we can't be a one-man army now, man. So those are the characteristics of the men that's getting ready to inherit the earth. Okay? And it's happening right before our eyes because the Lord is bringing down the proud. You see? And he's pushing the devil to go with his move. Okay? Esau is being pushed, all right, to go with his move. And we don't know, if this devil is going to keep going. But Esau is running his play. Now if he's going to keep going, if he's going to let up, open things up and bring some type of sense of normalcy, but it can never go back to what it was. See, when Esau does things like this, they can never go back. Things can never go back to the way that they were. Okay? Because damage has been done, economically, that can't be undone. Okay? 30 days worth of shutdown. Okay? But you got close to $20 billion in government contracts that hasn't been paid. Well, you don't undo that, okay, in one day. Okay? Because guess what? People in a month's time, that's a whole bill cycle. You see, in a month's time, that's a whole bill cycle, man. And all that billions of dollars, all right, that go towards majority bills is not being paid. It's that's a hell of a shortage. All right, to these government contractors, these, their employees. Okay, their overhead, like I say, hey, that's gonna be a hell of a blow. All right, because everyone is already living month to month. Majority of the people are already living month to month. Okay, so that month with no income, okay, it's devastating people, man. Most people don't have, all right, savings, all right, to cover their expenses for the month. Okay, majority, probably 90% of Americans, they go without a month's wage. You see, that can devastate them. Okay, so we're gonna see, a lot of, and you won't see a ripple effect, man. And I want to get this video real quick. All right, this from the beloved elder brother Amon Gabar. All right, now the name of this lesson is Bank Runs Are Coming. This was a perfect recipe for disaster. All right, and the brother challenged GMS Awakening 144. Subscribe and be edified. So let's play this.
Turn the volume up.
Wanted to make another quick update
was talking to someone that works for a media organization, and they're like, why is no one covering what's happening with the banks right now and the repo market? And I was like, well, if you cover that, it's going to immediately cause a run on the banks, and it is going to cause a decline in the stock market. But here is the seriousness of what is happening right now that I explained to this individual. So as you have noticed, in 2 weeks, the banks have borrowed $50 billion in emergency liquidity that was not accessed anywhere near those levels last year. That right there is an indicator we have a serious issue. And then on top of that, if you look at the borrowing that was done by this, but today on the repo market, $8 billion of it was mortgage-backed securities versus treasury. So I give you the pawn shop analogy. When you need to go get quick cash, a diamond ring is a treasury. That's like a $100 bill, right? You give that as collateral and you get back cash. Mortgage-backed securities are garbage. It's a stack of IOUs on the backs of people's mortgages that aren't even being paid right now. So what you guys need to understand, billions and billions and billions of dollars of direct deposits, government funding to contractors, none of that is happening. So none of this liquidity is going into the banks. Worse yet, because a lot of individuals work for the government, work for the military, they cannot pay loans back. So they can't pay car loans, they can't pay credit cards, they can't pay mortgages. That's how banks get cash back. So if banks are not getting direct deposits from the government and no funding from any government source at this point in time, and they're not receiving paybacks on loans, and all that's happening is people are taking cash out. They're taking cash out of their various banks to cover rent, to cover mortgage, to cover car loans. That's why this November 1st date is so fucking dangerous, because car loans are due on the 1st. Mortgages are due on the 1st. Credit cards are due on the 1st. And so all the direct deposits that are not showing up from the federal government workers to contractors to any other agency that's not getting paid. I don't know about the military yet. I still don't know if they were able to come up with the $9 billion, but let's say that doesn't happen either. Now the banks are out billions and billions and billions of dollars, and they're not getting any loan repayments coming in. So what do I think is going to happen next week? And it clearly looks like the shutdown will go into next week. I think there might be very well a run on some of the smaller banks. I've heard reports, I don't know how true they are, but some individuals are having trouble, especially trying to get out large sums of cash. So a few individuals I've seen comments on just through the TikTok who said, they tried to take out a large deposit. Bank wouldn't grant that, wouldn't allow that to leave the bank. They didn't have it, basically. So that's essentially what's happening when there's no cash, when there's no liquidity. The banks can't meet these withdrawals, and then we come to a standstill, and we have a run on the banks. And so what I think is going to happen next week, after November 1st, is SNAP benefits will end, and we will not have any of that money going into the banks, and we're going to potentially see a run on the grocery stores and a run on the banks, because people are not going to have SNAP benefits, people are not going to have paychecks to buy food, and then on top of that, banks aren't going to have money to meet withdrawals. So we'll see what happens next week, but there's no intention of reopening the government before November 1st.
Yeah, man. So one thing about this devil system, it's so shiesty, and with this money system, it's pretty much everybody's in debt to the bankers. All right. So buying and selling with the American dollar, okay, it's just changing debt for services and goods. Okay, and then the people you pass your debt to, they pass the debt on, all the way up to the bank. Okay, and then when you get to the central bankers, okay, they're the ones the money is flowing to, and they're the ones that's issuing the money out. Okay, so what we're seeing, all right, is people beginning to panic, because of all this uncertainty, man. You know, this shit has been so unstable and uncertain, you know, since January. All right. And people, all right, with this whole shutdown, it's having such a ripple effect. Okay. And it's causing so much, you know, hysteria. You see? And you can tell this is being done intentionally, man. It's not, if you think that the government is shut down because Republicans and Democrats, all right, can't agree, you have no clue of what's going on. All right? These things are orchestrated. This is orchestrated chaos. All right? So the elites are going with a play. Okay? Now, whether or not they carry this thing out and leave this thing shut down, but at this rate, okay, this is gonna breed chaos. This is gonna breed unrest. This is gonna breed looting. Okay, this is gonna breed panic. You know, panic buying, runs on the banks. Okay, increase in crime and theft. Okay, civil unrest, man. Okay, if it keep going like this, okay, poverty, because see, people are already living dollar for dollar. A month's worth of no income is going to wreak havoc on people. Okay, in that situation, because people have these overheads. Okay, and no one's in position with these overheads to. No one's in a position to be a month behind and then catch up. Then you put 2 months in, it's over. 2 months, a month. Okay, it's gonna put so much pressure and strain on people. Okay, but 2 months you can forget about it, man. Okay, you get 2 months behind on your overhead. Okay, which most people are paying all their overhead with debt. You see? So you got this very intense, you know, situation, you know, that can spill over into chaos, man. But we'll see. But we're following these things, man. It's gonna be interesting, man. Like this weekend, okay, when people get EBT on different times, so you can see waves. You know, you might see waves of all right, of you know, chaos. You know, because people get their EBT in different times of the month. So we'll see. All right, but they haven't came to any agreement. You know, right now it's the 31st. It might be the 1st when this lesson goes up, but it's the 31st now. Tomorrow's the 1st. All right. And hey, we'll see. Okay, you know, it's double. All right, you know, he's known for pump faking. Okay, but hey, he this is the play he wants to run. Okay, to bring civil unrest. Okay, to switch over to a digital system. He's running this play. Okay, whether he keep his foot on the gas, all right, or ease off. You know, whether it's a heat check, okay, or whether it's, you know, a live run, we'll see. Okay, but we know one thing, all right, that this devil, you know, he can't keep pump faking forever. There's gonna come a time where he got to go with the move, man. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's get a few precepts. All right, we'll say we'll make this super long, but matter of fact, let's go here. Yep. Yeah, oldie but goodie. This is book of Habakkuk, and we'll end it here. You know, this is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and verse 1. It says, "I will stand upon my watch, and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I reprove." Okay, so we're on our watch. You know, and how the Lord speaks to his men is through prophecy, through current events, things happen in real time. All right, pertaining to prophecy, man. That's the Lord speaking to his men, letting us know what time we're in, man. Okay, and we're right here. You know, we're right here at the point, you know, Jacob's trouble. Okay, the collapse, okay, of this old economic system. Okay. World War III. All right. Is looming. You know, so we're right here. So we're watching what the Lord is saying, and then he's saying, look, we here. Okay. Verse 2, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry, man. You know, so we've been waiting and waiting, you know, and it seems like, okay, damn, you have moments like nothing's happening, and, you know, it's like, man, what's good? You see? But this year, it's been non-stop action, man. This year has been action-packed with prophecy, man. You know? Action-packed. And there you go. So, hey, the devil, if he's doing a live run, man, it only gets worse before it gets worse, man. You know? So, you brothers and sisters, man, hey, praying for, you know, us all to have courage in these times, patience, discipline, that we're protected, you know, that the Lord's, you know, sends his powers, okay, down, you know, to aid us and preserve us, man. Okay? So, Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters, edified. Till next time, I say shalom, kwam yashala, abab, soon, shalom.